What's going on, guys? Today's Friday, the day I get to be flexible and not make a One Piece video. One Piece actually will be involved in this, but not very much. A lot of people have asked me, and a lot of people have actually been surprised that I watch other anime at all, okay? They're like, oh wow, when I make a Friday video, they're like, oh, I figured you just watched or read One Piece, and I'm like, that's, I mean, kind of weird, but I think, like, who really has One Piece as a starter, but whatever, you know, a lot of people have asked me, well, what are other shows that you've seen, what are other manga that you've read, and I usually just give a few examples, but you know what, now I'm going to make this video showing my top, well, it's not even really going to be a top list, just all the anime I've seen a total of 18 now, and they're ranked because I put it on my anime list, and if you do want to see my list just by itself, then I have the link in the description, you can check that out. But I'm going to like go through them, give my opinions on them, starting from the bottom, working my way up to the top. I probably won't have too much to say about the ones that are lower because they're lower, I didn't like them that much. So yeah, let's just get right into this shit. Alright, starting at the bottom of the list with a 1. A lot of people are probably going to be upset by this. If you've seen this anime, you might even unsubscribe, you're so upset, because I know it's a very popular anime, a lot of people love it. But I think it is the worst abomination I have ever seen. I cannot understand how anyone likes this. It was recommended to me by a friend, he said it was awesome, he absolutely loved it, and I was pretty excited to get into it. I knew it was about video games, so that was cool. No Game, No Life. Yeah, I consider this the worst story I've ever seen. I mean, there's just really nothing interesting going on at any time. The animation's fine, but like, it's just kind of fucked, really. The relationship between the two main characters, I don't really understand why anyone likes this, because it's so disgusting, the shit that happens in it, and the parts that are supposed to be good really aren't. Like, he's supposed to be a master of winning games or whatever, but he always kind of just like finds some stupid way to win. Like, it's not like really interesting how he does it, it's just stupid every time. So I absolutely hate this. I think it's the worst thing I've ever seen. I've actually considered on multiple occasions making a video on why I think this is the worst anime of all time. But I started on it one time and I kind of got bored with it, so I don't know. Maybe if you guys want to see that, I'll do it. But yeah, this is by far the worst thing I've ever seen in my opinion. Alright, and next on my list I have the Sword Art Online series. Okay, the first and second season, I've seen both. When I first started watching it, I thought it was kind of cool. You know, it's interesting. It is interesting, okay? Like, it has very cool character designs. The animation is pretty much flawless. It's very good. The soundtrack's not bad at all. It's just that there's not that much of a story there. Like, it's cool, the idea of being trapped in a video game and whatnot. It has a great premise, but it's just not really delivered very well. Like, there's just a lot of screwed up things with the plot. It doesn't really make sense a lot of the time. Obviously, you know, the writing was done kind of carelessly. It was kind of rushed, which, I mean, if you look more into it, you'd understand what I'm talking about. Honestly, if they did come out with a Season 3, I definitely will watch it, because, like I said, it's easy, like, to just turn my brain off, and it's cool to see all the ideas of, like, being inside of a video game. It's pretty lame a lot of the time, but it's still cool, so I would watch it. I gave it a 4. It's bad. I would just say it's bad. Not horrible, it's just bad. And next, we have The Irregular at Magic High School. You probably have never even heard of it. I had never heard of it one time. I've never heard of it even since watching it. It's just something my same friend recommended to me. It's alright. I mean, it's just kind of like there's magic in the world to some extent. It's kind of like a combination of engineering and magic. It's really complicated. I really don't even understand it. I couldn't explain it to anyone. But yeah, I mean, it's alright. I don't even know if I'd recommend watching it, I guess. Like, you kind of have to pay attention a lot. It's not like Sword Art Online where you can just, you know, just turn your brain off. I mean, you really have to be paying attention. It's kind of like watching FateZero, except it's not that interesting. It's alright. I gave it a 5. Yeah, it's okay. Next we have, is it wrong to try to pick up girls in a dungeon? Honestly, I barely even remember the majority of stuff that happened in this. I know it was alright. I gave it a 6. You know, it was kind of weird. There were like gods and goddesses or something, and it was like they lived in a video game world, but they weren't in a video game. It was very interesting. It was kind of cool to see how that world would function. I would say it's definitely worth a watch. I gave it a 6, and it's only 13 episodes, so it was interesting. You know, I enjoyed watching it. It's not like the greatest thing I've ever seen. I didn't really take anything away from it, but I did enjoy myself. So I would recommend it if you have extra time. Next, once again, with a 6, we have Boruto. I didn't really, you know, I made a video on this. A lot of people say it's way shittier than I think it is. I think it's alright, you know, it's definitely interesting. I enjoy it. It's cool to see the younger generation. You obviously have to have seen Naruto, pretty much. I mean, yeah, you have to see Naruto until the end, which is a big commitment. You can't just pick up Boruto. It doesn't really work that way. But, I mean, if you have, I think it's alright. If you have finished Naruto and you're like, I don't want to watch any spin-off, I mean, I would definitely recommend it. It's not nearly as good as Naruto, of course. Like, come on, you can't expect that. But it's definitely interesting, and the main characters still are in it from Naruto. So, I enjoy it every Wednesday when it comes out. I'm pretty excited to see what's going on. I would definitely recommend it. Alright, and next, I believe the thing I've watched most recently, I think this is my most recent anime I finished, FateZero. I also gave this a 6. I decided to watch it because it seems like kind of an essential piece of like the anime community, I guess. Like, it just seemed like a lot of people would always make references to it, and now that I've seen it, I don't really understand why. I mean, I'm not saying it's bad, it's fine. I would definitely say, though, it is like worth watching because it was very cool. Okay, I mean, the animation was good. It was very hard to follow. Like, you really had to be paying attention. The first 2 episodes, just ridiculous, massive exposition dumps, but I mean, it's a very cool concept they've set up. I know you're supposed to, like, watch Fate Awake or Fate Rise or whatever the other one's called first or something, but I just went straight into FateZero, and it's pretty much seemed fine. I think chronologically that's correct. So, I just watched that. I mean, I enjoyed it. I thought it was super cool. It deals with, like, the idea of being a king, which is kind of, you know, related to, like, my name and stuff. So, I thought it was enjoyable. You have to be definitely willing to really pay attention to it, but if you are, totally worth it. It's very cool to, like, discuss with someone. I would recommend it. Next, moving up to the 7 ratings, we have Erased, okay? This was an anime I watched about 2 years ago, I think, in my freshman year of college. Again, my friend recommended it to me. It was on, like, episode 6 at the time. There's 12 total. I really enjoyed it. It was a cool concept of some kid who can kind of, like, go, when something bad happens, he can kind of like go back 5 minutes in the past or something and try and prevent it from happening. It's pretty interesting. I thought that was a very cool concept. That kind of does get taken out because something more ridiculous happens, which overpowers that, I guess. Like, he can't really do that at the same time he is. You have to watch it to explain. It's a really cool idea where he goes back and is able to fix things cool. Like, I don't even know if I don't think it is a shonen actually. I don't really know what exactly, like, how you define one. I mean, he does have, like, that super ability, so I guess there's that, but, like, besides that, there's, like, nothing related to a shonen, so I don't know. It's pretty good. I definitely recommend it. It's only 12 episodes, and they're pretty much all interesting, so I would watch it. Next, again, with a 7, we have Log Horizon, okay. I don't know what most people's opinions is on this. I enjoyed it a lot, okay. It's pretty much everything wrong with Sword Art Online is good in this. So, it was definitely enjoyable. The animation quality wasn't off the charts like Sword Art Online, unfortunately, but it was fine. It was fine. You kind of do have to pay attention a decent amount, I will say, because it's kind of political. There's some, you know, kind of complicated stuff going on. You have to really be paying attention. Sometimes you're going to get a little bit lost. But if you're willing, it's pretty good. It's, you know, people trapped inside of a video game. They can't really die like they do in Sword Art Online, but there is some kind of penalty to dying. And it's cool. Okay, I definitely enjoyed it pretty much the entire way. I've actually watched it 2 times now because I came back to it one day and I'm like, dude, I should totally fucking rewatch this. This is really good. And it was even better the second time. So I would definitely recommend this. Just make sure you do pay attention if you're going to watch it. Next, we have Parasite The Maximum. Okay, I actually really enjoyed this one. I did also give it a 7 because 8's pretty high, but I really did enjoy this. It's without giving too much away, pretty much these like alien things invade Earth, and they're parasites because they just find an animal and like take over its brain, and then they kind of like use their body, but they kind of also have this like super overpowered body. It's complicated. They pretty much always target humans because humans are the best. Yeah, and this kid kind of has one try to take over his brain, but it misses and like only gets his hand or something like that. So it was very interesting how this affected things, because the thing would actually talk to him and it could no longer take over his brain, so they had to like work together. Very interesting. I don't really want to talk about it too much because I'd give a lot of stuff away. I would highly recommend this though. It's not that hard to follow along at all, and it's very fun to watch, very interesting. So for sure, do recommend this one. And moving on to the 8s. First, I have Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. I've not seen the older one. I've heard that it's not better, so I just watched Brotherhood, and I heard it's pretty much the same thing anyway. So, but a lot of people are probably thinking this should be higher. Yeah, I mean, as a lot of people say, it's the greatest anime of all time. I think that's definitely stretching it. I think it's very good, very enjoyable, but I do think it is a little overrated. I'm probably going to rewatch it, so maybe I'll enjoy it more the second time. I have a lot of other stuff to watch right now, so that's going to take some time. But yeah, while I think it is fantastic, I don't think it's like unbelievable over the top. I think it's very good, pretty much a for sure should watch, but it is a little overrated. Right above that, I have Code Geass, okay, and this is a really weird one, because while it is interesting pretty much the whole way through, it's not too hard to follow along because there's a lot of action and whatnot. It's like the biggest thing that factors into me ranking it as an 8 or giving it an 8, whatever you want to call it, is the ending. The ending to this show was absolutely unbelievable. Definitely the best of anything I've ever completed. I've just never felt more satisfied. Like, I didn't even expect it. It was just, I was finishing and I was on the last episode. I was like, yeah, alright, this was decent. This was alright. And then out of nowhere, this shit happens that completely fucking changes the game. It was just unbelievable. It was such a satisfying resolution. I've never seen an ending even close to as good as this one. And it easily takes this show at least up to an 8 because of it. It's so awesome. If every episode was as insane as the last one, I mean, it would be the greatest masterpiece in the history of the world. But that's impossible because the last episode was so juicy. It was so awesome. I know a lot of people might not like this type of anime. There's not too much going on throughout the majority of the series, but it does all build up to this ending, and it's fucking incredible. So I do recommend it for sure. Gotta power through 50 episodes, but it's totally worth it. Right after that, I have One Punch Man. I think it is just a little bit better because pretty much every episode is awesome. It's a weird show to describe, really, because it's mainly, at least in my opinion, centered around like the comedy. I think it's fucking hilarious. The main character, Saitama, is hilarious. Everyone around him, like just how they interact with him, makes the whole thing so hilarious. He's so ridiculously overpowered and no one even cares. Most people don't even seem to realize it. It's just absurd. It's completely crazy. It's hilarious. I enjoy it a lot. Even when it's not just about funniness, you know, it's well animated and it's about superheroes and whatnot with superpowers. So it's really cool to see all these people's abilities. I love it. I really hope they come out with Season 2 soon because I've been waiting on it for some time, and I really enjoyed the first one, so definitely recommend it. It's only 12 episodes as of now, and pretty much every episode's very entertaining, so definitely recommend it. Right after that, I have My Hero Academia, okay? I really enjoy this one. I think it's pretty polarized where most people either absolutely love it or don't like it at all. It's kind of weird. I don't really know why you wouldn't like it. I mean, it seems pretty good. It's actually funny because the one time I made a video on it after I had just finished it, it made my channel like explode. So I really appreciate the show for that. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, pretty much every episode is very enjoyable. Again, it's about people with superpowers, pretty much. They're called quirks, but same thing, really. And it's awesome, you know? It's really cool to see these people. The main character does a pretty good job of moving the story along while he's, you know, not so interesting himself. How he interacts with other people is cool. It has a really strong cast. I mean, what's funny is I think the main character's like the 3rd on the popularity poll, where 2 other characters who, at least one of them, you would not expect to be very popular based on the beginning, ends up actually being #1, I think. And it's pretty crazy. You have to definitely see it to understand. The second season was insane compared to the first. It was a lot better. and I just actually am finishing up the manga right now, which is also awesome. It's a little slow where they're currently at, but it's pretty awesome as of now, so I very much enjoyed it. I would definitely recommend it because it's not hard to watch at all. Very enjoyable. It's just typical shonen. 100% recommended. And at the top of my 8, I have Naruto and Naruto Shippuden. This is actually the first anime I ever watched, and after I had caught up in it, which was pretty quick, I don't think I watched another anime for at least like 4 or 5 years. I mean, I caught up on episode 32, I believe, you know, the end of the Gaara retrieval arc. I don't think I watched anything else for at least a while. The second thing I watched was Attack on Titan, which was way later. I watched the first season like a year after it had already come out, so yeah, that's a lot later, I believe. I think at least 4 to 5 years, maybe even more. But yeah, I mean, it's fantastic pretty much the entire way through. It's really funny because despite it being super long, pretty much every single episode, with very few exceptions, is quite entertaining, seriously. I mean, the plot's always moving along. Sometimes it gets a little screwed up, but it's always moving. It's very fast-paced, very interesting the entire way through. It's big. You know, there's about probably 500 episodes, probably 500, maybe not, maybe only like 450 because there's so many filler. So, I mean, it is long. You gotta power through to some extent, but it's not that hard because it's pretty much entertaining the entire way through. I would definitely recommend it. You're going to have to be very committed, but it's totally worth it. Naruto's one of the big ones, totally worth the watch. Alright, and moving on to the 9s, I did not give away the 9s very much. I only have 2 of them here, and I consider them really, really good. Like, there's just no way I cannot recommend these to you. First, I have Death Note. Okay, Death Note is only 37 episodes, so it's not even that long, and every single episode is packed with awesomeness. It's about this kid. It's not really a spoiler or anything. This is how I actually got into it, by someone giving me the premise. This kid finds this notebook that says Death Note on it, and it says, like, in the first page that any person whose name you write in it will die as long as you know what their face looks like. I mean, this kid finds this thing, and at first he, you know, skeptical, like, should I use this? Whatever. He eventually does, and he kind of goes on to become, like, this superpower in the world. It's crazy. I mean, I feel like it's kind of just pivotal, you know? Like, you almost gotta watch that. It's super short. There's so many references to it all the time because it's so awesome, and it kind of makes you think, I guess, to an extent. When I first watched it, I didn't even realize that some people actually think that the protagonist is justified, but it turns out that a lot of people actually do want him to end up winning, so I think it's definitely worth the watch, 100%. I cannot recommend it more. And my other 9 is Hunter x Hunter, okay? I have not actually caught up in the manga yet. I will be doing that after I finish My Hero, but the anime I have seen, and it was absolutely beautiful. Pretty much, again, every single episode was fantastic, and there's 148 of them. I usually say, like, you know, when it's bigger like that, well, that's kind of a disadvantage, but when every single episode is this high quality, I mean, it's pretty awesome that it's that long. There's not really any premise or anything. It's just a regular shonen where some kid has a goal and he's gonna accomplish it pretty much. Amazing, absolutely amazing combat system. I don't know. I mean, I just really enjoy it a lot the entire way through. I've actually rewatched it one time now despite it being that long, and I am amazingly excited to get into the manga soon. And moving on to the 10s, I also gave only 2 shows a 10, okay? And the first one, you do have to consider that I would only give probably like an 8.59 if it was just the anime as of now, but I have caught up in the manga, and that easily pushes it up to a 10, okay? This is the one show that was able to get past Game of Thrones. I didn't think anything besides One Piece was going to get past Game of Thrones, but this easily did it. I can very confidently say that I enjoy this more of Game of Thrones. Attack on Titan, Shingeki no Kyojin, however you want to say it. I mean, I'll just say what the anime is, I guess. I mean, 8.5 to 9. It's just awesome. The first season is kind of slow, I guess. There's a lot of action, but there's not that much plot moving, really, I guess. So I can understand how some people might have been turned off by that. But the second season really picks up, and it shows why the first season was really just to get things going later on. Like, everything was being set up, so much shit happens that you don't even really realize. You don't realize it's happening until later. It's just crazy. The second season gives you the first glimpse of that, really, where I don't want to spoil anything because it's pretty much the greatest spoiler of all time, but I mean, if you've seen it, you understand what I'm talking about. In episode 31, like, the show completely changes. The game changes in so many ways after this certain reveal happens, and from there on, it's just absolutely fantastic. The last 6 episodes after that were just amazing, each and every single one of them. I've rewatched Season 2 of Attack on Titan probably 6 or 7 times now, I mean, honestly, and the manga is even better. The manga is even better. The arc immediately after where the anime ends is a little slow, but it's still awesome the entire way through, and then after that is like the greatest manga arc I've ever seen. Okay, it's probably better than anything in One Piece, honestly, so I think that the show easily earns an 8.5 to 9, and the manga is an easy 10. Masterpiece, could not be better, and it's not even over. I really think it's just gonna keep getting better because that's what it's been doing. And of course, last, my other number 10, the one on the top of this list, the one I think no one is going to be surprised about in the slightest. I of course have One Piece. I don't think much needs to be said. If you're here, there is a very high chance that you are a One Piece fan. You're probably in the same boat as me. One Piece is above all. I mean, honestly, I do think Attack on Titan is comparable almost to an extent, but not quite there. But One Piece, it really is in a whole different level than anything else. I mean, it's very long, of course, which is kind of a good and bad thing. I wouldn't say every episode is like just absolutely fantastic. There are some slow parts, but when you just finish it and you take a look at it as a whole, it's just beautiful. I really can't even explain it to someone who hasn't seen it. If you have, I mean, you understand. There's just so much going on. It's so well written. There's the perfect amount of comedy, action. There's a great power system. There's so many people that we want to know about that we know pretty much nothing besides their name and like what they do. The fact that Oda's able to do that, make characters who we haven't really seen anything from actually be like the favorites. Like, Shanks is pretty much competing to be one of my favorite characters, despite the fact that we've barely even seen him do anything. A lot of people have Shanks as their favorite character based on the video I made a few days ago. I think it was Sunday? Yeah, I think it was my Sunday video, where a lot of people were doing that poll for their favorite character. A lot of people come up with Shanks. He was almost in everyone's top 10, honestly. And that really speaks volumes, considering how little we've seen of him. He did stop the war and whatnot, but besides that, like, I mean, come on, favorite characters, it's pretty crazy. Oda's able to do that all the time with a lot of different characters. And yeah, I don't think much needs to be said. I think we all understand why One Piece is an absolute masterpiece. So that is everything. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Hope this wasn't too boring. Maybe I gave you some good ideas for new stuff you want to watch. I think that almost everything on this list is worth a watch. I'd say everything I rated 6 or above, even 7, you know, 7 for sure. Everything at 7 is definitely pretty solid. Yeah, I haven't really seen that many that I didn't enjoy to some extent, because I mainly just, you know, get recommended by the same friend every time, and he says it's awesome. The only time he's really failed me was with No Game No Life. That was just fucking disgusting. I need to rewatch that and then make a video about why it's so bad, because it is way worse than anything I make fun of in One Piece. Way worse than Skypiea. The entire thing through is just a complete abomination. So yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, remember to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. Remember to leave me a comment letting me know what you did think and ideas for future videos you'd like to see, different anime, different One Piece ideas, whatever. Let me know. I'll see what I can do. I hope you guys have an excellent weekend, and I'll talk to you guys on Sunday.